Howdy, boys. Today we're doing a move called the Chaplin switch. Here should be. I don't know if you caught that, but see, I'm doing my middle finger Chaplin right now, the old FU Reno, but we're going to switch to the index finger Chaplin. And now, back to the middle finger Chaplin. That's the move, it's switching between Chaplins. So here's the slow-mo. Okay, so what you gotta do, the first thing you need to know with this trick is that you have to have the Chaplin mastered to do this trick. So, you know, you got the regular horizontal Chaplin, you can do that, no problem, for as long as you want. You got the vertical Chaplin, no problem, as long as you want, boss. You can go from like an open position just straight into a Chaplin. You can do whatever middle finger Chaplins. You can do whatever. You gotta be good at the Chaplin. So if you're not good at the Chaplin, I'm gonna link the tutorial down below. But assuming you're good at that, what we're going to do to start this move off is similar to how the regular Chaplin, we did it. What you're going to do, you're going to start off just pointing the knife outwards, right? So I got the safe handle here, the bite handle, just on my index finger. I'm pointing outwards like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to do one Chaplin rotation, basically. So pointing outwards, I'm going to come up and to the left towards my face. Once I'm at my face, I'm going to go down and to the right around. So it's kind of like this kind of a motion up, and that kind of a motion down to do one rotation. So, like I said, you should have the Chaplin master, you should be able to do this. What we're going to do, something interesting, we're going to do a two-finger Chaplin. Just one rotation, but a two-finger Chaplin. So, exact same position, you're just going to put your middle finger in. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to do the exact same thing where you pull towards yourself, the knife's going to spin around, and you're going to come back down. Now, this will be a little bit tricky, but it's not the hardest thing in the world. So if you have the Chaplin down well, you should be able to just figure this out, and eventually you'll get it down. It's the exact same feel, it just requires a little bit more of a pull upwards to get that knife around your middle finger, and then at that point it's pretty easy. Anyway, so once you can do one two-finger Chaplin rotation, what we're going to do, we're going to go back to one finger again, and we're going to try and do one rotation where you start with your index finger and you end on your middle finger, like that. So what that looks like, you start in the exact same position, and when you do this pull upwards, right when the knife reaches the apex of the Chaplin, so the point at when it's highest, and it turns around, right? So there's this one spot here where I switch from going backwards to going forwards, and right before that point, so the knife comes up like this, right before that point, what you're going to do, I've got my index out and my bottom three fingers are curled. You're just going to insert your middle finger and remove your index finger, right? So it's this kind of motion. I got my index out, I'm going to extend my middle finger, and I'm going to curl my index finger down. So I'll show you what that looks like, right? So you're coming up like this, right before the knife gets to the apex, I'm going to insert my middle finger, so I got two fingers in there, I'm going to remove my index finger. So now I've got the knife on my middle finger, like that. It's at the apex, and I'm going to come back down. So I will show you what that looks like. It looks something like this. Start on the index, end it on the middle finger. Now what you can do, you can actually do this very, very slowly. So all you got to do, right, you pull up towards yourself, like real slow. So something like this. And right when you get to right before that point, you just insert your middle finger and remove your index finger and continue the spin. Right, so you saw how slow I did that, right? I'm not even like that. I'm not even doing anything quick. So if you can do it slow, right, you can probably speed it up. And eventually you can speed it up until you can do it, and you can hardly even tell that you're even doing anything until it ends. So that's the first switch that basically happens. Now, I'll explain how to do that from the actual, like from an actual Chaplin rotation. It's a little bit trickier to do that mid-Chaplin. I've got some tips. But what we're going to do next is, of course, to go from your middle finger back to your index finger. So this one, it's about the same difficulty, it's just a little bit different. So what you're going to do, of course, you're going to start off with the knife right on your middle finger with your index and everything all curled up. You can do the exact same, just middle finger, one rotation, Chaplin, same thing. Except this time, right when the knife gets just past the apex, right? So I come up, right? The knife hits the apex and I start pushing downwards. Right when I start pushing downwards is the time when I'm going to insert my index finger. So I come up, I insert my index finger, and I push down. And you don't remove your middle finger until the knife gets all the way back down, and then you can remove your middle finger. So I'll show you what that looks like, right? I got it on my middle finger, I come down there. So it feels, honestly, you don't have to wait. It feels the exact same where you're here, because it's happening so fast, right? You come up, you insert your index, you remove your middle finger, and you're down. You can do this one pretty slow as well. You kind of have to do this one a little bit faster, I think, just because of, well, maybe you don't. You insert your, yeah, okay, you don't have to. So you can also do this one pretty slowly too. It's pretty easy. So you get your middle finger, right? You point it towards yourself, right? You're coming around. Right when you get past the apex, you're going to insert your index finger, you're going to come down, and you're going to remove your middle finger. Now, of course, it does happen a little bit faster when you're in reality, but it's not the end of the world. So, okay, so now you got these two moves, right? You can start with your index, you can end with your middle finger, you can start with your middle finger, you can end with your index. So now you got the back and you got the forward, so we're good to go there. So the next step, of course, is to just do, right, the actual Chaplin and do it mid-Chaplin. So it's quite a bit harder than just doing it, whoa, maybe it's not. It's quite a bit harder than doing it one rotation, right, is doing it mid-Chaplin. So here's the tips I'm going to give for you. So the first one, I'm going to conceptualize this in a weird way, but just bear with me. So you're doing a Chaplin, right? It's spinning around your finger. So there's the spot, right? If I'm here, my finger's here, right? The knife is spinning around. There is the spot when the knife, if my finger is doing a circle, right, like this, there is the spot when my finger is towards me. There's a spot when my finger is to the right. There's a spot when my finger is away from me. And there's a spot when my finger is to the left. Does that make sense? So you do a rotation, you can think, right? It's away, it's aside, whatever. And if you do it slower, right, it's kind of easier to conceptualize, but there's a point when it's farthest from you, there's a point when it's farthest to the left, there's a point when it's closest to you, there's a point when it's farthest to the right. What you want to do is when you're going from your index to your middle finger, you want to try and switch at the point when the knife is closest to you. I find that works. So if I do as Chaplin pretty slow, and I just think, I'm going to insert my middle finger when my finger is closest to me, I find it just works. I find I can do it. Might be different for you. You might have to experiment, but that's what I find. To go from your middle finger to your index finger, I find I have to insert my index finger at the point when my finger is most to the right. Right? So not towards me, not away from me, most to the right. My right. So that way. Right? So I'm spinning this around, right? And I think I'm going to insert my index finger when my finger is most to the right. And I wait, wham. I do it, and it works. So those are my two. That's basically what I do. And of course, that might not work exactly for you. And you're going to have to experiment a little bit. But I think if you can do one rotation, you can switch, you can figure it out. And I recommend, right, you start doing slow Chaplins like this, and you can work your way up, and you can actually get pretty quick at it. You can do it when you're flying around there. But once you get the timing down, it's not the end of the world. All right, so that's it, folks. Hope you guys liked that one. For a little bit of bonus challenge for people who have watched this long, I'm gonna see if you can figure some stuff out on your own. One is the reverse. So can you go from a reverse Chaplin to a reverse middle Chaplin and vice versa? The other one is try some other fingers and see how that goes. Those are my two challenges of the week. Anyways, hope you guys like that one. Thanks for watching. Peace.